So even though she wasn't somebody who had worked with people with disabilities in the past, she understood how to work with employees. And it's the approach that she's really taken over time is treating our employees as the adults that they are and challenging them and not putting limits on them.
G'day, I'm Debra Caldow. Welcome to the Red Giraffe Solutions Expanding Worlds podcast, where we aim to support you as you help your young person with additional needs plan for their future, a future where they're safe, secure, and live a rewarding and fulfilling life. From around the world, I share stories and I share solutions from people making this possible right now. I'm a parent of a young person with additional needs, so I understand the challenges. Many of the people I've interviewed on this podcast have already helped me design a better future for my daughter, and I hope that they might help you as well to imagine what's possible for your young person. One of the things that we all have in common is a passion to make things better for our children, and by virtue of that we'll make things just that bit easier for all the families that will follow us. In fact, it's almost like we all become entrepreneurs, coming up with new ideas, new schemes, new ways of making sure our children have every opportunity that we can create for them. I guess that's why there's been so many examples on the podcast of businesses being started up by someone who either has a child with additional needs or knows or works with someone with additional needs and sees an opportunity to start up something that will empower a group of people who just aren't being given the opportunities that they so clearly deserve. This week's episode is another one of those innovative examples. It's a coffee shop in a town that most of us will never go to, but in their own way, they're another one of those small pebbles being thrown into that lake of change, where we all end up feeling the impact of the ripples wherever we are in the world. My guest is Julie Walker, who's the Executive Director of Esteamed Coffee. So let's hear from her all about how Esteamed started and what it does so successfully. Julie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. Can we start off by finding a little bit about you, and then can you tell me about what Esteamed is all about?
Absolutely. So my name is Julie Walker. I'm the executive director of Esteamed Coffee. We are a nonprofit cafe based out of Cary, North Carolina, and we've been around for going on 5 years. So as a nonprofit cafe, our mission is really to provide employment and social opportunities for adults with disabilities in our community. We were started by two amazing women back in 2020, Tamara and Angie. Tamara was working as a speech language pathologist. She was helping people who had aphasia. So she was very ingrained in the disability community and passionate about it. And Angie began losing her vision in college and became legally blind after school and really struggled to find work. And so these two friends were inspired by similar cafes in our state and decided there was nothing like this in Cary, North Carolina, and they wanted to do something about that. So they didn't have a business background. They didn't have a nonprofit background. All they had was a heart for the disability community and this passion to start something like Esteamed. So they took some business classes at a local community college. They found some sponsors and supporters and ended up opening the doors of the cafe in 2020 during the pandemic. So definitely a leap of faith for them. It's paid off. Right now, we have 14 adults with disabilities employed. We have employed a total of, I think, 28 adults over the last 5 years. And it's really grown beyond employment. So we do social events a few times a month for adults with disabilities to come together independently. We do volunteering and volunteer opportunities to give back to the community. We have an art program, so we have local artists in our area who can sell their art on commission at the cafe, all artists with disabilities as well. So it's really grown to this all-encompassing organization in our community that is so much more than coffee.
When they first started, what were some of the biggest challenges in getting it up and running?
I think something for them was not having this restaurant experience. And so they made a really smart decision in hiring their first employee, our operations director, Rebecca, who has a really robust experience in the restaurant industry. So even though she wasn't somebody who had worked with people with disabilities in the past, she understood how to work with employees. And it's the approach that she's really taken over time is treating our employees as the adults that they are and challenging them and not putting limits on them. And she says this is the best team that she's ever had. So I think that was something really smart that they did early on. During the pandemic, of course, the typical challenges, we did have to close a few times, but people always came back. So that was great. And then I think just kind of getting our name out there at first took a little while. People would come in. We are in a very heavy area for foot traffic, which is wonderful. And people would come in and not really know who we were or what we did. So it was a pleasant surprise to them, but definitely something that we needed to work on to make sure that people knew that we were out there in the community and that we were doing the work that we were doing.
When the young people come to you, how do they come to you? How do they find you?
So the disability community in our area is very tight-knit. I like to call it inclusive carry. There are a lot of services around here. There are a lot of families that come to carry because they know that it's a very welcoming and inclusive place with a lot of resources. So I think a lot of people who are looking for work already know about us through another agency that they may have worked with or through family friends or something like that. So we do always have a waiting list for employees. Unfortunately, we're a cozy cafe, so we don't have often a lot of spots, and we have wonderful retention. People love to stay and work with us. So when we do have positions opened up, they get filled pretty quickly. And when it comes to the training, we've gotten to a point where our employees with disabilities can train their peers, which is incredible to see. They're training them how to make a latte and how to run the cash register. And a lot of on-the-job training we found has been really successful.
That's what I was going to ask about the training. How does that actually work? So it's really about doing the job.
Yeah, exactly. And even the interview process is like that as well. Having them go behind the counter, having them learn how to make a drink, seeing how they do with it, seeing if they're able to take direction. And I mean, our employees are absolutely incredible. I'm sure you can understand that. They're hardworking. They have the best customer service. And it's really hard to have a bad day when you're at the cafe.
Have you had people that have gone through and trained with you guys and worked for you and that have moved on to other jobs?
We have. So we had a really amazing success story this past year. So we had an employee named Michael who came to us back when we started in 2020. And he struggled at first with his anxiety to stay even in the same room with somebody. And over time, with practice and with exposure, he ended up becoming a floor supervisor. So he became a peer leader, trained all of our new staff. He got his driver's license. He went to school. He got a pharmacy technician certificate, and he moved on to become a pharmacy tech just this past year. So we were incredibly proud of him. He's grown so much. He still comes back sometimes to say hello, and it really is like a different person from when he started.
You talked before about the footfall. Do you think that's really important to have a location that you just get a lot of passing people?
I think it is. I think it really is. We're very lucky to be where we are. Cary is a pretty small community with a small downtown. And being able to capture people when they're walking to and from this beautiful new park that we have, or going to the farmer's market on Saturday, or going to the library is very important. I would say probably half of the people come in as regulars and half of them come in for the first time and become regulars. So it's been really valuable for us since the park opened as well. That opened, I think, in November of 23. We've seen a huge increase because so many people are coming to the area and walking around and enjoying it.
You mentioned a little bit before about the community being a very inclusive and community that people come to. How important is that also in the process of opening something up like this, where you do need people to support you? And there is an element there of people coming in because they want to support people who have additional needs, as well as get a great coffee, which I'm sure you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Community is so important. I would say it's core to everything that we do. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we're so much more than coffee. And so being able to be this welcoming and inclusive space in the community is really important to us. Making sure that someone can come in who has special needs or has disabilities and is comfortable being themselves. It's okay if they're a little bit loud. It's okay if they're moving around. We all understand it. And so being that really inclusive and welcoming spot in the community is important. I also think that we do a wonderful job of community building, of doing outreach, of building partnerships with other organizations like us, and even with other cafes that don't hire our population, but maybe they could one day. So it's something that we're always thinking about and, working to become more ingrained in our community in any way that we can.
So is that something you've done, get local employers to come in and talk to you to see what amazing group of people that you have, potential employees and that kind of thing?
That's something that we are working on. So we have a new program that we're calling Training Grounds. We love a good pun. So with Training Grounds, what we're hoping to do is build partnerships with area employers and work to develop the skills of specific employees at Esteamed in the hopes of getting them placed in their dream jobs. And so that's something that we're really working on developing this year is building those partnerships, finding those employees that seem like they might be ready to kind of move on to what's next for them and developing those relationships. Something else that we're excited about is next year hoping to roll out a coffee cart. And with that, we would love to get that out to corporate campuses, the Raleigh-Durham area here in North Carolina. There are a lot of big companies and there are a lot of tech companies and there are a lot of colleges. And there are so many places where we could go out and serve coffee to people that could one day be employers.
So that comes back to that visibility part of it as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We think that there are a lot of places out there that might hire somebody from our community, but put them somewhere where they are not visible and where they're not being seen and where their abilities aren't being showcased. So that's something that we were really mindful of, making sure that they were front and center. They're running the cafe. Our managers don't even go behind the counter anymore unless there's a big rush. So getting to see them in action and see the incredible work they do is really important. So when we do work on opening up a second type of business, which is something that we're hoping to do. It won't be a cafe, but it will be something that also gets our employees out front and center.
You mentioned the social side of things. How important is that for the people that are working for Esteamed, that social element of meeting other people, not just people with additional needs, but just meeting other people and having interaction?
It's huge. It's huge for them and it's huge for the people they're interacting with at the cafe. Our social events specifically are open to all adults in the community with disabilities, not just our employees. And so with those, we'll do things like a game night or an open mic night or a trivia night. And they've been so successful. Our game nights sell out every month well in advance. And the individuals who come to those events are forming these amazing friendships with their peers. And we really encourage independence. We encourage their parents to drop them off. We have volunteers that help support the event. So building those relationships and that confidence has been really important.
Are there some parents who are still worried about their young person coming to the cafe working? Are there issues there and challenges for parents as well and for you guys to reassure them that everything's going to be okay?
There absolutely have been. I think any parent can be concerned about their child going out into the world, no matter their age and no matter their ability. And we have found that there are parents that maybe they want to protect their children, which is understandable. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we're giving them the wings that they can have and making sure that they are given the opportunity to learn and grow. And maybe it's a little bit uncomfortable at times, but when we've had a parent that has those concerns, I would say 100% of the time, they come back and they see their child in action. They see their adult child helping out around the house all of a sudden, taking out the garbage, making themselves a sandwich. And it might sound small, but you understand it's huge. So I think parents sometimes do have those concerns and pretty quickly they see the value in what we're doing and get to know our staff and understand that, we all want the same thing.
I honestly believe it's organisations like Esteamed working in their communities, providing opportunities and showing everyone the value that our children can bring to the workplace and to their community that will one day lead to the inclusive society that we all want to be part of. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope that the stories and solutions shared on here help you as you support your young person to create their future. If you know anyone who would find the ideas useful, please share the podcast with them. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn at Debra Caldow. I'd love to have a conversation with you on any of the topics we all care about. Bye for now.